Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Silver Slayer. Thank you for tuning into this video. What if I told you that silver prices were rigged? That there's market manipulation going on behind the scenes from central banks, from the Federal Reserve, even individuals trying to corner the market to their advantage? Well, this is actually happening. I'm going to be explaining a few instances where people actually were sent to prison from banks that you know of, and much, much more. I hate to say this, but gold and silver is in a bubble, and whether or not you want to admit it or acknowledge it, the reality is this. So before we jump into this video, make sure to smash that like button. Let's see if this video can get 450 likes. That will be the highest like goal I've ever asked on a video. I know we can hit that. Make sure you're subscribed because I am doing my 30,000 subscriber giveaway tomorrow. This is your last chance, your literal last chance to enter for a chance to win some free silver. You definitely don't want to miss out on that. So with that said, let's jump in today's video. So everyone wonders whether gold and silver is in a bubble, and I wonder, I always take it a step further, because it's obvious when there's any type of money, especially from a large amount on a global scale with banks, with banks involved, there's going to be manipulation. Where there's a market, where there's an exchange, where there's people trading, there's always going to be shadiness going on behind the scenes, especially when the government is involved. So I knew that gold and silver were being manipulated, but my question is always this: to what degree are they really affecting prices? To what degree? And this could go not only for manipulation, but to what degree does supply and demand play in silver's price? What degree does speculation play in gold and silver's price? What degree does, there's so many different factors. From an economical standpoint, right? U.S. China trade war definitely affected precious metals prices. Stock market volatility affects precious metals prices. Something that Trump tweets out affects precious metals prices. And we are getting more speculative than I like to admit. But the thing is that silver is intrinsical. There's intrinsic value, which means regardless of what spot price is, the real value of silver is the metal content inside of it, the 1 ounce inside of the coin, not how much the coin is worth. Because what the coin is worth is in fiat currency, which is worthless. I hope that makes sense. So, since there's intrinsic value in gold and silver, then it doesn't have the same, or it doesn't get affected by the same things that stock markets, that even cryptocurrency does. It should be based more or solely off of supply and demand. And gold and silver prices together, comparing and contrasting the two, should be simply how much do they come out of the ground, or what the rate is they come out of the ground. But we know that's screwed as well. They come out of the ground roughly 8-1, but the gold to silver ratio is at 72-1, and that's for a good ratio. We saw it as high as 125-1 in mid-March. So things are screwed, right? But what if I told you that there's several different banks that are spoofing? Spoofing is called, or it's called spoofing because you're placing a false buy order on these exchanges and then canceling the trade before it goes through, tricking everyone else on the exchange to think all this silver is being bought up, a lot of value, and then they cancel the order and it spoofs, right? JP Morgan, the Dutch bank Merrill Lynch, all got caught doing this. 3 of JP Morgan's employees actually got arrested. This is a punishable crime now. This was all this year that this happened as well. And they're digging a lot deeper into this spoofing investigation with not only JP Morgan but several other banks. And now that it's a punishable crime, it's definitely going to lessen the load of people doing it, but there's always going to be people trying to manipulate the markets behind the scenes. right? There's always gonna be. You can never push out all the rats. You can never kill all the snakes, right? So I'm curious to what degree this spoofing is affecting precious metals. For instance, if gold and silver rose naturally from from as pure as it could be, I definitely think silver would be well over $100. Well over $100. Probably something more like $400-500, and that's with gold sitting around 3,000. I would see silver at 400 or 500, and that's because silver is not much more common than gold is. Yeah, it comes out of the ground 8 to 1, but guess what? It's actually lower than that because most silver is lost in technology. Most gold is recycled, remelted, reused, rescrapped. And not only that, people focus on gold more than silver. Miners focus more on gold. They're digging up gold, lead, and zinc because that puts money in their pocket. They're not looking at silver. Silver, especially around $15-16 an ounce, they didn't care about that. They found it by accident. If they were digging up some gold and found a little bit of silver on the side, they'll take it, but they're not looking for it. So the ratio is actually smaller than that, especially with the circulating supply. So silver, it has a unique advantage. Yes, it's a monetary metal, but it's an industrial metal. And I think that over time, we have devalued silver without even realizing it. Well, one person did, the one that started all this. And it was a president. It was a president. Can you guess? A president in the 30s, the 1930s? It was FDR. FDR in the 1930s changed the gold to silver ratio from 16 to 1 to 75 to 1. You heard me correctly the first time. 16 to 1 to 75 to 1 overnight. He single-handedly devalued silver. 16 to 1 was the highest the ratio was ever before that. Back in ancient Egyptian times and biblical times, it was 2.5 parts silver equals 1 part gold. Then it got around the 8 to 1 level for a while, centuries, and then it got to 16 to 1. And 16 to 1 was pretty high for that time period, but when it went to 75 to 1, it never recovered, right? It got hit so hard it never recovered. There's been a couple instances back like in 1980, in 2011 where the ratio dropped, but besides that, it's always been in the 70s or higher. I wonder what would have happened if silver wasn't devalued. And it's simply because of gold's stigma. People look at gold as the royal metal. It doesn't do anything better that silver does, right? Silver is the most highly conductive metal for thermal conductivity and electricity. Gold isn't, right? Silver does just as many things that gold does, if not more, and it's needed more in the world. So it's interesting that gold is so much more expensive or so much more valuable than silver is. But anyways, getting back to the point, right? People will try to manipulate even the prices or even the metals themselves. The Hunt brothers tried to corner the precious metals market, right? People are always going to try to manipulate prices. But so where does that leave you? Well, as an investor, you got to remember the bigger picture. The bubble always pops. The bubble will always burst, and when it does burst, it's usually on the good side or for the people that have been investing the whole time. If you get in after the bubble bursts, you're going to be paying a hefty premium and you'll probably get the short end of the stick. But regardless, you have to learn to adapt and adjust in these markets. There's always going to be manipulation. There's always going to be rigging, whether it's the NBA finals you think is rigged or whatever the case is. There's always going to be shady stuff going on behind the scenes, especially where there's a lot of money, a lot of attention, a lot of eyes, and a lot of power behind it. Presidential elections, anything you can think of, there is manipulation going on behind the scenes from higher ups trying to screw the odds in their favor, right? And that's something that no one can change. We can't change anything about it. All we can do is change how we react, how we respond, how we invest. Hopefully you're not investing off of fear, off of emotion. Hopefully you're investing realistically, statistically. And the more people that try to put rational decision making in their investing strategy, the more prepared you are, the better off you're going to be, the more profits you're going to make. Because trust me, the people that are making irrational, very impulsive decisions, basing it off of fear and emotions, listening to all the chaos, the drama, all this, all, you know, it's not going to lead you anywhere good. I promise you that. I promise you that. So anyways, I just wanted to make this video because I know there is a lot of people, a lot of new stackers in the world of precious metals, and I really want to bring the reality of precious metals. The ins, the outs, the good and the bad, the ugly, the beautiful. Because yes, gold and silver is a precious metal. It's precious. But there is a lot of stuff that people probably won't want to tell you in the beginning because it might turn you away. But I want to tell you the good and the bad so you can be as prepared as possible as soon as possible. Because if you start investing and you're not aware of this stuff, then you are at an extreme disadvantage, and you're in a much riskier spot. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. And the more you know, the better off you can be and the better decision you can make. Because let's say someone didn't know about spoofing, that could drastically influence and change the way they invested. And if you have if you're aware of it, then you can invest more safely, more cautiously. So anyways, I hope this video helped you. If you thought this video was educational, informational, or at least just entertaining, make sure to smash the like button. 450 like goal. I know we can get that. Make sure you subscribe because I'm doing my 30,000 subscriber giveaway tomorrow. You do not want to miss that. Trust me. It's sponsored by the Silver Forum. I'm also throwing in some silver from my personal stack, so it's going to be a great giveaway. You don't want to miss that. Who doesn't like free silver? Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.